What we are learning now is doesn't even lend itself to be expressed in words. Let us just establish our location and then the last line on page Pei-Vav. You ready? Up until this point, up until this last section, we had some kind of a grasp, a means to understand Milo and Mato, Ribuy Oyer and Miut Oyer. And the principle of oil itself is also a little bit elusive, but nonetheless, eventually it kind of surfaces and we're able to relate what it means. The fact is that we are constantly related to oil without knowing it. Chochmah is all oil. Now we're saying an insight that is beyond, as I said, beyond contemplation and certainly beyond expressing in words. That Mila and Mato are really not dependent on any of their content and any of their qualities. It is it's something which is identified by the Etzem itself. In order to just have a little bit of an approach, a little bit of a sense what we are dealing with, we have to always remember. Go back to the beginning. Nothing exists but to the fact that it gets created. Sounds like a simple statement, but it's a very loaded statement. Because when we say that it was created, therefore it carries with it the powers and the power and the sense and the truth of the Creator. It is the Creator who created it. It has a quality of truth which is beyond definition within the created realm. Relative to this, it is like this. It's not a relative thing. And it is from that source, from that input, from the Creator presence, where the Milo or Mato are defined. Okay, so the bottom line on page Pevov, which is within the parentheses. Vehighnu, which means to say, this means it's a kind of elaboration on a brief statement before, that there is an essential element, vehighnu, and it means to say, the loy rag hatzimtzum b'seder ha'hishtalshelus, that not just the tzimtzum b'seder ha'hishtalshelus in the process of hishtalshelus. Seeing that there is a seder hishtalshelus, a process of hishtalshelus, a process of descent, of chaining down, therefore, as the very phenomenon of hishtalshelus, of chaining down, is due to a tzimtzum, and then the tzimtzum continues on to be effective as it goes down from level to level. Therefore, this tzimtzum, seder hishtalshelus, hu sibas amiyud amiyud, v'amiyud v'ahel. This is the cause for the miyud, for the reduction and the helam and the concealment of the oil. This would be something which lends itself to be understood. But we are saying this is just, we're still in the middle of a sentence. But this is not the only cause. That which facilitates the seder hishtalshelus, the process of descent. The canal, this is so far we're still explaining how it would be if it were exclusively the seder hishtal, the tzimtzum seder hishtalshelus that causes the ma'ilomata. This would be the sibut, the cause for miyud v'hela. The canal, and as we mentioned before, shetzorich liyis miyud, that there must be a reduction b'soif hamadrega ha'olyono, towards the end of the higher madrega, big day, in order sheyiyanetz hamadrega tachtei. In order that the lower madrega should come forth. And that would be the explanation for the whole phenomenon of miyud v'ribui, and the lower and higher. This would be the way to explain why what is the meaning of higher and lower. There's a tzimtzum. It's reduced in order to facilitate the creation of the land madrega. So we're saying no. This is not the total explanation of the ma'ilomata, and miyud v'ribui either. Vehighnu. Again, re-summarizing and putting it in the shortest phrase possible at the end of the top line. Vehighnu, that would mean Mashiharichug hu sibas hamiyud. The fact that this is distant from the source, and therefore there is a reduction of oil. This would be something which
to
we can
remain on this call, press 1. Returning to the conference room.
This would be something that we can put, so to speak, in some kind of a conceptual logic, justification. Like we said very early in this discussion, if you have a candle, closer to the candle there is more light, further from the candle there is less light. The similar meaning translated in the Mila, the same thing. This is closer to the source, and therefore there's more oil, And more distant, the oil is less effective. He says, no, but this is not the full explanation. The important thing here to recognize is that the Rebbe is again emphasizing that Riboy Umiyut exists within the source itself. This is not manifest only on the creation level. Within the source itself, within chochmah, there is miyut and riboy. Pardon me, let me. Doesn't work without lubrication, does it? It's not, that would be a very logical statement. The distance is the siba, is the cause for the reduction of the earth. That's not the case, however. Kiyim, rather. This is now coming from an essential perspective. Nothing to do with Seder Ishtalshalos. But it's mitzad the etzem itself. Kiyim, rather. Sheha madrigo hatachteino, that the lower madrigo, mipnei shehi be'etzem tachtem madrigo, because that it is be'etzem in essence, by definition, tachtem madrigo. It is the lowest in the madrigo realm. Zehu sibas hamiyut v'helem do'er. This is the cause that there is reduction and concealment of oil. It's a lower madriga, therefore it gets less oil. Not the other way around. This principle of etzem, we spoke many times, an essential reality is an extremely difficult thing for us to conceptualize, much less to elaborate on and to explain. Because this is something which comes from the Creator himself. It is his choice. The Creator does not explain himself how come he's here. Motivation. This is the reality itself. This is beyond presence, beyond existence. The first being, a first being, who invited him in. He is the one who invites everything else in. He doesn't need to be invited, because this is the fundamental reality, the truth. This is where not only we fail to understand the evil, we fail even to approach it, because in our mind there is this process automatically. And here is where we have to...
Is what process automatic?
What is it about? Where does it come from? Why?
That's the regular thinking.
That's regular thinking.
Context, what's it doing, how much is away.
We, in Seichel does not have the means to even conceptualize this in it, this kind of etzem. We do relate to it, but we relate to it through emunah. And then below that, we relate to it through chochmah.
And today's point is that this etzem is assigning qualities of higher and lower to various...
Not qualities, positions.
Ranking things according to...
His own choice.
End of sentence. There's nothing more or less light, there's no...
Light comes after.
Okay. One of the points here is that this ranking is outside of our comprehension. That's part of what we've been...
Well, we are saying this in order that we should focus towards a different realm that would allow us to relate to these words.
So this is in contrast to what? You might have thought what?
That there is an explanation why this is high and this is low.
Okay.
There's more content. There's more meaning.
Okay, and we're coming to say it's on account of his choice.
Totally. And his choice, we do not have a means to grasp it or to understand it, but we have a means to relate to it. We're not questioning his choice. Why are we not questioning his choice? It is because we trust that he made a good choice, a right choice. He is so much wiser than we are. Certainly he made the right choice. So we say, no, that is not, it's missing the whole point. Its value is due to the fact that he chooses it. He doesn't choose it because of its value. His choice is what makes it a higher matter.
The value follows his element of choice.
Because he is the Motzer Rishon. If he connected his presence to this, so this becomes automatically the highest thing.
At the beginning there you were saying it's beyond comprehension, but we relate to it.
So I'm saying this is how we relate to it. We relate to it through the quality of emunah. At a lower level, there is an element of chochmah. This is not, chochmah does not provide for a personal relating to it. Chochmah is not a personal experience. In Bina there is a personal input. In chochmah there isn't. Chochmah is recognizing what I see.
To remain on this call, press 1.
The point with chochmah there, and it's not personal, is that it will accurately see higher and lower. It will accurately have the same value system.
Chochmah does not seek. Yes, true, but I want to put it to understand the significance. Does not seek a personal in relationship to this principle. If it is so because of the Creator, good enough. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that to do mitzvahs because the Rebbe so commanded. And these are the words in Tanya, verbatim. If we were commanded to chop wood instead of putting on tefillin, we would be chopping wood with the same diligence as we're putting on tefillin. It is His presence that brings the value. And this is the very simple, very special quality that we possess in emunah and in chochmah, that we can relate to that. That's all I want. This is what Yiddishkeit is about. When Avraham Avinu was told to take Yitzchak and put him on the altar, he did not turn around to Menachem. Okay, I'll do what you tell me to do, but what is it about? What's the point? I was waiting for Yitzchak for 100 years. I'm going to put him on the altar. What are you trying to do? He went to put Yitzchak on the altar with the same enthusiasm as he made the bris. And he made a big party for his growing process, weaning from mother's milk. He made a big do. He invited the whole world to that party. With the same enthusiasm, he took Yitzchak and put him on the altar.
Wait, I mean,
this is what we are about. I just want to finish. We are about here not about goodness and kindness. This is the means by which we present it. But principally we are here in demonstrating and revealing the godly presence in the world.
when Hashem said he was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, you have Avram kind of debating.
Right.
I mean, seemingly he would.
He wasn't debating, he was
automatically-
pleading. He was not debating, he was pleading. And this pleading is really rooted and part and parcel of Hashem's will in the creation of the world. In Hashem's will, okay, now that you mentioned it, let's examine this slightly. The whole creation is because Hashem chose to create. The creation itself does not have its own will to be. It's all from Menachem. But Hashem wanted that the creation should want to be. Should plead for its continued existence. This is where prayer comes in. It is not for personal gain, it is to fulfill the Menachem's will in the creation.
So you may have thought that he should have just agreed readily, but in fact his pleading is an even higher agreement.
Now we are talking. Now we are talking.
yet we wouldn't apply that with Akedat Yitzchak. There would be no room to plead. He just complies there.
Akedat Yitzchak did not have an implication of punishment. Clearly, this came from the highest source. In halacha there is a principle. It's called soiser al nas livnis. Normally in the Shabbos, the melacha of Shabbos, it's only if it has a positive effect. If you break something, it's not a melacha. You just destroy something. But if you destroy something al nas livnis, in order to rebuild it, then the destruction itself is part of binyan. Akedat Yitzchak was soiser and nas livnis. It was not soiser per se. Stoma HaMoira was a soiser in order to eliminate this evil. A completely different thing.
Sounds like this Yitzchak Almanas Livnis.
To bring out a deeper union Yitzchak. Okay. Okay, let's go to the end of the top line on page Zion. Vehighnu, this would mean, this which we explained till now, that there is a correlationship of the closeness and the reduction. Then would be masheharichu gusi b'zamiyut. Now the distance is the cause for the reduction. There's a correlationship there. She says no, but that is not what is actually representing the truth. Ki im rather shamadrega tachteino, that the lower madrega mipnei shehi be'etzem tachtin b'madrega, because that it is be'etzem in essence a lower madrega. Zehu sivas miut mehelem ho'er. This is the cause for the reduction and the concealment of the air, because this is in essence a lower madrega. What is the definition of be'etzem high madrega, be'etzem low madrega? This etzem element is not within Seder Ishtashulos. There is no worldly way of explaining this. This is directly alluding and pointing out and bringing out. Now this presence here is a godly creation. And all its qualities are defined by the godly element in it rather than by the worldly element in it. What's a godly element? The whole question, what's a godly element? Completely defies an explanation from a worldly perspective. This is creator and created, two different worlds. Well, if he said, the third line now after the parenthesis. Well, if he said, and according to this, who he comes out, שהמדרגה שהיא עליינה בעצם, that the madrega that is in essence עליינה, a higher madrega. And again, here we have to retranslate the word Elyena. Elyena in this context does not mean higher, but it means high. It's not a relative statement, higher than lower. It is a high madrega. By definition, it's a high madrega. What does it mean, a high madrega? High madrega means that it relates to the etzem directly. This means Elyena. Elyena does not mean a relative. Elyena in this context is not a relative statement. It's an absolute statement. A high quality, a high truth. שהמדרגה שהעלינו היא המדרגה which is בעצם, in essence העלינו. And how is it עלינו בעצם? What gives it that status of being in essence high? מצד שורשו מקורו. This is due to the source and the root of its presence. Where does it come from? Not what it is, but where is it rooted? This is another means for us to come close to this discussion. That all things that exist in the world and in whole Seder Ishtalshalos, as I was saying all the time, they do not come within Seder Ishtalshalos because there is a gap in Seder Ishtalshalos and it gets filled with this or that. For example, legs by a table. How do legs come to the table? Because you need support the table. So therefore you have legs. Their functionality is what gives them a presence. This is the way it is within the worldly context. Aliyena be'etzem means in the essential, in the original concept, like we say all the time, a table is conceptualized within the human principle, the spirit, and the legs exist in that spirit. Where do legs come into a table, in the spirit of a table? So we're saying that it's rooted in the very concept itself. Let's examine this for a moment. We got into this already. The same top board of the table, if it were supported by a latch on the wall, something when you put it down on the wall, versus a table standing on the legs, it would be a completely different concept. With the legs, there is a statement that this is something which has to be, which supports itself to stay above the bottom. not supported inadvertently through some kind of a circumstance. It has an inherent element that it should be elevated from the ground. This is called an essential reality. In the Shoshim Koyre, in the very concept, where it's conceptualized, there is already that whole structure. That Shoshim Koyre. This high madrege, that Shoshim Koyre, it's higher because of because of where it's rooted. Netzla bebchinas kiruf. Because of its an essential quality of being higher in Soinish, therefore it is netzla bebchinas kiruf. It emanates in a close-up manner to stay close to the source. This is it for this morning. You can never finish a sentence. I'm always in the middle of a sentence. All right, this is it.
Thank you. Shabbos.
Seid gesinnt.
Shabbos Shalom. Nothing easy about this year. Actually, 2 days ago it was fun. Yesterday was better than hard. Today